Connor Francis is P4 with 80 kilograms ballast on primaries, 9 P to P left. Mark DeGraw ahead is on push to pass. John Ludden ahead is on push to pass. Lou Mascarelli ahead is on push to pass. Connor Francis is on push to pass. Jonathan Cuppet behind is on push to pass. Jonathan Cuppet is P6 on primaries. Greg Myers is P24 on primaries. Jake Feemster is P26 on primaries. Tom Traskell is P17 on primaries. John Ludden is P3 on primaries, 8 P to P left. Chasing Mark DeGraw, Iggy Giordia, P25 on primaries. Aaron Parsons is P19 with 60 kilograms ballast on primaries. Battling Chuck Carter. Brian Story ahead is on push to pass. Alan Jacobs ahead is on push to pass. Dale Balwick ahead is on push to pass. John Wathen is P22 on primaries. Battling Esteban Rodas. Tom Traskell ahead is on push to pass. Chuck Carter ahead is on push to pass. Aaron Parsons ahead is on push to pass. Joel Ekman ahead is on push to pass. John Wathen is on push to pass. Esteban Rodas behind is on push to pass. Greg Myers behind is on push to pass. David Zahn behind is on push to pass. Jake Feemster behind is on push to pass. Iggy Giordia behind is on push to pass. Sergio Calderon behind is on push to pass. Santiago Ocampo behind is on push to pass. Lou Mascarelli is P4 on primaries. Battling John Ludden. John Wathen is P21 on primaries, 7 P to P left. Battling Esteban Rodas. Jonathan Cuppet is P6 on primaries, 7 P to P left. Battling Andrew Werner. Iggy Giordia is P25 on primaries, 7 P to P left. Battling Jake Feemster. Dale Balwick is pitting after 3 laps on primaries. Brian Story is P15 on primaries. Battling Alan Jacobs. Jonathan Cuppet is P7 on primaries. Battling Andrew Werner. David Zahn is P25 on primaries. Battling Jake Feemster. Lou Mascarelli is P4 on primaries. Chasing John Ludden. Lou Mascarelli is on push to pass. Brad Mears is P11 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries. Fending off David Rowley. Kevin Miller ahead is on push to pass. Brad Mears is on push to pass. David Rowley behind is on push to pass. John Houston behind is on push to pass. Alan Jacobs behind is on push to pass. Sergio Calderon is P27 on primaries. Battling Santiago Ocampo. David Zahn ahead is on push to pass. Jake Feemster ahead is on push to pass. Sergio Calderon is on push to pass. Santiago Ocampo ahead is on push to pass. Jake Feemster is P24 on primaries, 6 P to P left. Battling David Zahn. Jonathan Cuppet is P6 on primaries, 6 P to P left. Battling Andrew Werner. Jake Feemster is P25 on primaries. Battling David Zahn. Santiago Ocampo is P27 on primaries. Battling Sergio Calderon. Greg Myers is P21 on primaries, 6 P to P left. Battling John Wathen. John Ludden is P3 on primaries, 6 P to P left. Fending off Lou Mascarelli. Mark DeGraw ahead is on push to pass. John Ludden is on push to pass. Lou Mascarelli behind is on push to pass. Brian Story is P15 on primaries, 6 P to P left. Battling John Houston. Brad Mears ahead is on push to pass. Alan Jacobs ahead is on push to pass. Brian Story is on push to pass. John Houston behind is on push to pass. Chuck Carter behind is on push to pass. Tom Traskell behind, is on push to pass. Joel Ekman, behind, is on push to pass. Chuck Carter is P16 on primaries. Battling, John Houston. John Ludden is P3 on primaries. 5P to P left. Chasing, Mark DeGraw. Tom Traskell is P17 on primaries. 5P to P left. Battling, Joel Ekman. Chris Moses is P8 on primaries. Battling, Philippe Gill. Lou Mascarelli is P4 on primaries. 4P to P left. Chasing, John Ludden. John Ludden is P3 on primaries. 4P to P left. Chad is on push to pass. John Ludden is on push to pass. Lou Mascarelli behind is on push to pass. Jake Feemster is P25 on primaries. 4P to P left. Battling, Esteban Rodas. Greg Myers ahead is on push to pass. Iggy Giordia ahead is on push to pass. David Zahn ahead is on push to pass. Jake Feemster is on push to pass. Esteban Rodas behind is on push to pass. Sergio Calderon behind is on push to pass. Santiago Ocampo behind is on push to pass. Iggy Giordia is P21 on primaries. 3P to P left. Battling, Greg Myers. Greg Myers is P21 on primaries. 3P to P left. Battling, Iggy Giordia. John Ludden is P3 on primaries. 3P to P left. Chasing, Mark DeGraw. Mark DeGraw ahead is on push to pass. John Ludden is on push to pass. Lou Mascarelli behind is on push to pass. Jonathan Cuppet behind is on push to pass. Tom Traskell is P17 on primaries. 2P to P left. Battling, Joel Ekman. Esteban Rodas is P26 with 70 kilograms ballast on primaries. Battling, Santiago Ocampo. Tom Traskell is P17 on primaries. Battling, Joel Ekman. Joel Ekman is P17 on primaries. Battling, Tom Traskell. John Ludden is P3 on primaries. 1P to P left. Fending off Lou Mascarelli. Lou Mascarelli behind is on push to pass. Jonathan Cuppet behind is on push to pass. Santiago Ocampo is P27 on primaries. 1P to P left. Battling, Esteban Rodas. Kevin Miller is P9 on primaries. 1P to P left. Battling, Chris Moses. David Zahn is P22 on primaries. 1P to P left. Fending off Iggy Giordia. Sergio Calderon is P25 on primaries. 1P to P left. Battling, Jake Feemster. Santiago Ocampo is P27 on primaries. Chasing, Esteban Rodas. Esteban Rodas is P26 with 70 kilograms ballast on primaries. 1P to P left. Battling, Santiago Ocampo. John Ludden is P3 on primaries, no P2P left. Chasing Mark DeGraw, Philippe Gill is P10 with 40 kilograms ballast on primaries. Battling Kevin Miller, Chris Moses. Ahead is on push to pass. Kevin Miller ahead is on push to pass. Philippe Gill is on push to pass. Brad Mears behind is on push to pass. Brian Story behind is on push to pass. David Rowley is P15 with 90 kilograms ballast on primaries. Battling Tom Traskell. John Ludden is P3 on primaries. Chasing Mark DeGraw. Kevin Miller is P9 on primaries, no P2P left. Fending off Philippe Gill. Greg Myers is P21 on primaries, no P2P left. Battling Iggy Giordia. Philippe Gill is P11 with 40 kilograms ballast on primaries, no P2P left. Battling Brad Mears. Tom Traskell is P15 on primaries, no P2P left. Battling David Rowley. Brad Mears is P11 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries, no P2P left. Battling Philippe Gill. David Zahn is P24 on primaries, no P2P left. Battling Sergio Calderon. John Ludden is P3 on primaries, fending off Lou Mascarelli. Sergio Calderon is P25 on primaries, no P2P left. Battling Santiago Ocampo. John Ludden is P3 on primaries, chasing Mark DeGraw. Sergio Calderon is P25 on primaries, battling Santiago Ocampo. Kevin Miller is P8 on primaries, fending off Connor Francis. Brad Mears is P10 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling Connor Francis. David Rowley is P19 with 90 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling Greg Myers. Jake Feemster is P23 on primaries, no P2P left, fending off David Zahn. Greg Myers is P19 on primaries, battling David Rowley. David Rowley is P19 with 90 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Greg Myers. Brad Mears is P10 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries, fending off Philippe Gill. John Ludden is P3 on primaries. Following Mark DeGraw. David Zahn is P26 on primaries. Battling Sergio Calderon. John Ludden is P3 on primaries. Chasing Mark DeGraw. Brian Story is P13 on primaries. No P2P left. Battling Chuck Carter. John Ludden is P3 on primaries. Chasing Mark DeGraw. Lou Mascarelli is P5 on primaries. No P2P left. Chasing Jonathan Cuppet. Esteban Rodas is P27 with 70 kilograms ballast on primaries. No P2P left. Battling Sergio Calderon. Chuck Carter is P13 on primaries. No P2P left. Chasing Alan Jacobs. John Ludden is P3 on primaries. Chasing Mark DeGraw. Alan Jacobs is P12 on primaries. Battling Philippe Gill. John Ludden is P3 on primaries. Following Mark DeGraw. Kevin Miller is P8 on primaries. Chasing Chris Moses. Brad Mears is P11 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries, fending off Brian Story. John Ludden is P3 on primaries, chasing Mark DeGraw. John Wathen is P24 on primaries, no P2P left, battling Santiago Ocampo. Santiago Ocampo is P24 on primaries, no P2P left, battling John Wathen. Chuck Carter is P14 on primaries, chasing Philippe Gill. John Wathen is P24 on primaries, battling Santiago Ocampo. Joel Ekman is P14 on primaries, no P2P left, battling Chuck Carter. Jake Feemster is P22 on primaries, battling John Wathen. John Wathen is P23 on primaries, battling Jake Feemster. John Ludden is P3 on primaries, fending off Jonathan Cuppett. Brad Mears is P10 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling Alan Jacobs. John Ludden is P3 on primaries, chasing Mark DeGraw. Alan Jacobs is P10 on primaries, chasing Connor Francis. Kevin Miller is P8 on primaries, chasing Chris Moses. John Wathen is P24 on primaries, battling Santiago Ocampo. Connor Francis is P10 with 80 kilograms ballast on primaries, no P2P left, battling Brad Mears. Tom Traskell is P15 on primaries, battling Joel Ekman. Iggy Giordia is P20 on primaries, no P2P after 21 laps on primaries. David Zahn is P25 on primaries, chasing John Wathen. Mark DeGraw is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. John Ludden is P1 on primaries, fending off Kevin Lekmansky. Andrew Werner is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Santiago Ocampo is P23 on primaries, battling Aaron Parsons. Connor Francis is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Philippe Gill is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. John Houston is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Aaron Parsons is P23 with 60 kilograms ballast on primaries, no P2P left, chasing Santiago Ocampo. Kevin Lekmansky is exiting pits on primaries. Mark DeGraw is exiting pits on primaries. Jake Feemster is P20 on primaries, fending off Santiago Ocampo. David Rowley is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Andrew Werner is exiting pits on primaries. Aaron Parsons is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Esteban Rodas is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Mark DeGraw is P8 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling Brad Mears. Connor Francis Francis is exiting pits on primaries. Philippe Gill is exiting pits on primaries. John Houston is exiting pits on primaries. Jonathan Cuppet is P2 on primaries. No P2P left. Following, John Ludden. Aaron Parsons is exiting pits on primaries. Esteban Rodas is exiting pits on primaries. Joel Ekman is P13 on primaries. Battling, Chuck Carter, David Raleigh is exiting pits on primaries. John Ludden is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Jonathan Cuppet is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Lou Mascarelli is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Chris Moses is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Kevin Miller is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Alan Jacobs is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Brad Mears is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Brian Story is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Tom Traskell is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Chuck Carter is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Joel Ekman is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Brad Mears is P9 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries. Ahead of Brian Story, Greg Myers is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. John Ludden is exiting pits on primaries. Lou Mascarelli is exiting pits on primaries. Jonathan Cuppet is exiting pits on primaries. Iggy Giordia is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Jake Feemster is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. David Zahn is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. John Wathen is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Santiago Ocampo is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Sergio Calderon is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Tom Traskell is P14 on primaries. Chris Moses is exiting pits on primaries. Brad Mears is exiting pits on primaries. David Zahn is P24 on primaries. Chasing Tom Traskell. Jake Feemster is exiting pits on primaries. Santiago Ocampo is exiting pits on primaries. Kevin Lekmansky is P2 with 10 kilograms ballast on primaries. No P2P left. Chasing John Ludden. Iggy Giordia is exiting pits on primaries. David Zahn is exiting pits on primaries. Sergio Calderon is exiting pits on primaries. Connor Francis is P8 with 80 kilograms ballast on primaries. Fending off Brad Mears. Chuck Carter is exiting pits on primaries. Joel Ekman is exiting pits on primaries. Greg Myers is exiting pits on primaries. Tom Traskell is exiting pits on primaries. John Wathen is exiting pits on primaries. Alan Jacobs is exiting pits on primaries. Kevin Miller is exiting pits on primaries. Brian Story is exiting pits on primaries. Brad Mears is P9 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries. Battling Connor Francis. Kevin Lekmansky is P2 with 10 kilograms ballast on primaries. Chasing John Ludden. Santiago Ocampo is P14 on primaries. Chasing Aaron Parsons. Kevin Lekmansky is P2 with 10 kilograms ballast on primaries. Chasing John Ludden. Santiago Ocampo is P14 on primaries. Battling Aaron Parsons. David Zahn is P18 on primaries. Fending off Sergio Calderon. Connor Francis is P11 with 80 kilograms ballast on primaries. Battling John Houston. Kevin Lekmansky is P2 with 10 kilograms ballast on primaries. Following John Ludden. Jonathan Cuppet is P4 on primaries. Chasing Lou Mascarelli. Jake Feemster is P12 on primaries. Battling John Houston. Chuck Carter is P19 on primaries. Battling Sergio Calderon. Jonathan Cuppet is P4 on primaries. Chasing Lou Mascarelli. is P6 on primaries, chasing Mark DeGraw. Jonathan Cuppett is P4 on primaries, chasing Lou Mascarelli. Sergio Calderon is P20 on primaries, battling David Rowley. Jake Feemster is P12 on primaries, chasing John Houston. Joel Ekman is P21 on primaries, battling David Rowley. Jonathan Cuppett is P4 on primaries, chasing Lou Mascarelli. John Houston is P11 with 50 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Connor Francis. Andrew Werner is P5 on primaries, following Mark DeGraw. Mark DeGraw is P4 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, ahead of Andrew Werner. Andrew Werner is P5 on primaries, chasing Mark DeGraw. Santiago Ocampo is P11 on primaries, chasing Connor Francis. Iggy Chiordia is P14 on primaries, battling Aaron Parsons. Connor Francis is P11 with 80 kilograms ballast on primaries, following Santiago Ocampo. Iggy Chiordia is P15 on primaries, battling Aaron Parsons. Jake Feemster is P12 on primaries, fending off John Houston. Mark DeGraw is P4 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, fending off Andrew Werner. David Zahn is P16 on primaries, battling Esteban Rodas. Connor Francis is P11 with 80 kilograms ballast on primaries, fending off Jake Feemster. Andrew Werner is P4 on primaries, battling Mark DeGraw. Mark DeGraw is P4 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, fending off Andrew Werner. Sergio Calderon is P18 on primaries, fending off Chuck Carter. Joel Ekman is P18 on primaries, battling Chuck Carter. Andrew Werner is P5 on primaries, chasing Mark DeGraw. David Zahn is P21 on primaries, battling Greg Myers. John Houston is P13 with 50 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Connor Francis. Andrew Werner is P5 on primaries, chasing Mark DeGraw. Joel Ekman is P17 on primaries, battling Esteban Rodas. John Houston is P13 with 50 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Connor Francis. Esteban Rodas is P19 with 70 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Chuck Carter. Andrew Werner is P5 on primaries, following Mark DeGraw. Iggy Chiordia is P13 on primaries, battling John Houston. Andrew Werner is P5 on primaries, chasing Mark DeGraw. John Houston is P14 with 50 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Iggy Chiordia. Andrew Werner is P5 on primaries, ahead of Jonathan Cuppet. Esteban Rodas is P19 with 70 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling David Zahn. Joel Ekman is P17 on primaries, battling Aaron Parsons. Chuck Carter is P17 on primaries, chasing Aaron Parsons. John Houston is P13 with 50 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling Connor Francis. Chuck Carter is P16 on primaries, battling Aaron Parsons. Aaron Parsons is P16 with 60 kilograms ballast on primaries, fending off Chuck Carter. Andrew Werner is P5 on primaries, chasing Mark DeGraw. Joel Ekman is P18 on primaries, battling David Zahn. Kevin Miller is P25 on primaries, battling John Wathen. Andrew Werner is P5 on primaries, fending off Jonathan Cuppet. Sergio Calderon is P16 on primaries, battling Chuck Carter. Lou Mascarelli is P3 on primaries, chasing Kevin Lekmansky. Sergio Calderon is P16 on primaries, battling Chuck Carter. Lou Mascarelli is P3 on primaries, following Kevin Lekmansky. Esteban Rodas is P19 with 70 kilograms ballast on primaries, fending off Greg Myers. Brian Story is P26 on primaries, battling John Wathen. Greg Myers is P21 on primaries, battling Kevin Miller. Brian Story is P26 on primaries, battling John Wathen. Tom Traskell is P24 on primaries, battling David Zahn. John Wathen is P26 on primaries, chasing Brian Story. Jonathan Cuppett is P6 on primaries, chasing Andrew Werner. Kevin Miller is P21 on primaries, battling Alan Jacobs. Andrew Werner is P5 on primaries, chasing Mark DeGraw. Jonathan Cuppett is P6 on primaries, battling Andrew Werner. Andrew Werner is P5 on primaries, chasing Mark DeGraw. Philippe Gill is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Philippe Gill is P11 with 40 kilograms ballast on primaries, following Jake Feemster. Connor Francis is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Andrew Werner is P5 on primaries, chasing Mark DeGraw. Aaron Parsons is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Philippe Gill is exiting pits on primaries. Esteban Rodas is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Kevin Lekmansky is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. David Zahn is P20 on primaries, battling Greg Myers. David Rowley is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Mark DeGraw is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Andrew Werner is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Connor Francis is exiting pits on primaries. Chuck Carter is P13 on primaries, fending off Sergio Calderon. Esteban Rodas is exiting pits on primaries. Aaron Parsons is exiting pits on primaries. Brad Mears is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Tom Traskell is P21 on primaries. Battling Greg Myers, David Rowley is exiting pits on primaries. Andrew Werner is exiting pits on primaries. Mark DeGraw is exiting pits on primaries. Kevin Lekmansky is exiting pits on primaries. John Houston is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Brad Mears is exiting pits on primaries. Chuck Carter is P12 on primaries. Fending off Sergio Calderon. John Ludden is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Sergio Calderon is P14 on primaries. Battling Joel Ekman. Lou Mascarelli is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Jonathan Cuppett is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Chris Moses is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Santiago Ocampo is P6 on primaries. Chasing Andrew Werner. John Houston is exiting pits on primaries. Brad Mears is P11 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries. Fending off Chuck Carter. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries. Battling Jonathan Cuppett. Santiago Ocampo is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Jake Feemster is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. John Ludden is exiting pits on primaries. Jonathan Cuppett is exiting pits on primaries. Lou Mascarelli is exiting pits on primaries. Iggy Giordia is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Chris Moses is exiting pits on primaries. Chuck Carter is P13 on primaries. Fending off Joel Ekman. Sergio Calderon is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Joel Ekman is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Kevin Miller is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Alan Jacobs is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Santiago Ocampo is exiting pits on primaries. Jake Feemster is exiting pits on primaries. Brian Story is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. John Wathen is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Tom Traskell is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Greg Myers is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Chuck Carter is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. John Wathen is exiting pits on primaries. Iggy Giordia is exiting pits on primaries. Lou Mascarelli is P3 on primaries. Following Jonathan Cuppett, John Wathen is pitting. John Wathen is exiting pits on primaries. David Zahn is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Tom Traskell is P21 on primaries. Kevin Miller is exiting pits on primaries. Sergio Calderon is exiting pits on primaries. Greg Myers is exiting pits on primaries. John Wathen is pitting after 2 laps on primaries. Tom Traskell is exiting pits on primaries. John Houston is P18 with 50 kilograms ballast on primaries. Following Tom Traskell, Chuck Carter is exiting pits on primaries. Joel Ekman is exiting pits on primaries. David Zahn is exiting pits on primaries. Alan Jacobs is exiting pits on primaries. John Wathen is exiting pits on primaries. Lou Mascarelli is P3 on primaries. Following Jonathan Cuppett, Brian Story is exiting pits on primaries. David Rowley is P24 with 90 kilograms ballast on primaries. Battling Alan Jacobs, Jonathan Cuppett is P2 on primaries. Fending off Lou Mascarelli. Jake Feemster is P11 on primaries. Chasing Santiago Ocampo. Lou Mascarelli is P3 on primaries, fending off Andrew Werner. Connor Francis is P13 with 80 kilograms ballast on primaries. Battling Kevin Miller. Jonathan Cuppett is P3 on primaries. Fending off Andrew Werner. Andrew Werner is P3 on primaries, fending off Jonathan Cuppett. Sergio Calderon is P15 on primaries, chasing Connor Francis. Andrew Werner is P4 on primaries, chasing Jonathan Cuppett. Jonathan Cuppett is P4 on primaries, fending off Chris Moses. Mark DeGraw is P6 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Chris Moses. Connor Francis is P15 with 80 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Sergio Calderon. Jonathan Cuppett is P4 on primaries, chasing Andrew Werner. Chris Moses is P5 on primaries, no P to P left, chasing Jonathan Cuppett. Jonathan Cuppett is P4 on primaries, chasing Andrew Werner. Greg Myers is P15 on primaries, chasing Sergio Calderon. Brian Story is P23 on primaries, battling John Wathen. Jonathan Cuppett is P4 on primaries, battling Mark DeGroff. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, following John Ludden. Santiago Ocampo is P10 on primaries, chasing Philippe Gill. Brian Story is P23 on primaries, fending off John Wathen. Chris Moses is P6 on primaries, battling Jonathan Cuppett. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, following John Ludden. John Wathen is P24 on primaries, battling Brian Story. Santiago Ocampo is P10 on primaries, chasing Philippe Gill. Tom Traskell is P19 on primaries, battling Chuck Carter. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, chasing John Ludden. Santiago Ocampo is P10 on primaries, chasing Philippe Gill. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, chasing John Ludden. Mark DeGraaf is P4 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling Chris Moses. Joel Ekman is P19 on primaries, battling John Houston. John Houston is P18 with 50 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling Joel Ekman. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, chasing John Ludden. Mark DeGraw is P6 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, following Jonathan Cuppet. Philippe Gill is P9 with 40 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling Brad Mears. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, chasing John Ludden. Brad Mears is P8 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries, fending off Philippe Gill. Jonathan Cuppet is P5 on primaries, chasing Chris Moses. Santiago Ocampo is P11 on primaries, battling Jake Feemster. Jake Feemster is P11 on primaries, battling Santiago Ocampo. Joel Ekman is P20 on primaries, battling Chuck Carter. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, chasing John Ludden. Santiago Ocampo is P10 on primaries, battling Jake Feemster. Chuck Carter is P20 on primaries, chasing Joel Ekman. Aaron Parsons is P21 with 60 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling Alan Jacobs. Alan Jacobs is P21 on primaries, battling Aaron Parsons. Aaron Parsons is P21 with 60 kilograms ballast on primaries, fending off Alan Jacobs. Alan Jacobs is P22 on primaries, battling Aaron Parsons. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, chasing John Ludden. Philippe Gill is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Aaron Parsons is P22 with 60 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling Brian Story. Philippe Gill is exiting pits on primaries. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, chasing John Ludden. Connor Francis is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. John Wathen is P24 on primaries. Battling Connor Francis, John Ludden is P1 on primaries. Battling Lou Mascarelli, Connor Francis is exiting pits on primaries. John Wathen is P22 on primaries. Far in front of Aaron Parsons, David Rowley is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Lou Mascarelli is P1 on primaries. Battling John Ludden. John Ludden is P2 on primaries. Battling Lou Mascarelli. David Rowley is exiting pits on primaries. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries. Chasing John Ludden. John Houston is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Andrew Werner is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Mark DeGraw is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Kevin Lekmansky is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Aaron Parsons is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Brad Mears is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Kevin Miller is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Jonathan Cuppett is P4 on primaries. Following Chris Moses, Kevin Lekmansky is exiting pits on primaries. Aaron Parsons is exiting pits on primaries. Mark DeGraw is exiting pits on primaries. John Houston is exiting pits on primaries. Kevin Miller is exiting pits on primaries. Brad Mears is exiting pits on primaries. Andrew Werner is exiting pits on primaries. Sergio Calderon is P11 on primaries. Battling Greg Myers, John Ludden is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Lou Mascarelli is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries. Following John Ludden, Chris Moses is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Jonathan Cuppett is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Jake Feemster is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Santiago Ocampo is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Iggy Giordia is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Lou Mascarelli is exiting pits on primaries. John Ludden is exiting pits on primaries. John Ludden is P2 on primaries. Battling Lou Mascarelli, Jonathan Cuppett is exiting pits on primaries. Chris Moses is P4 on primaries. Trailing Jonathan Cuppett, Chris Moses is exiting pits on primaries. Greg Myers is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Sergio Calderon is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Jake Feemster is exiting pits on primaries. Santiago Ocampo is exiting pits on primaries. Philippe Gill is P7 with 40 kilograms ballast on primaries. Fending off Santiago Ocampo, Iggy Giordia is exiting pits on primaries. Tom Traskell is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Joel Ekman is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Chuck Carter is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. David Zahn is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Greg Myers is exiting pits on primaries. John Ludden is P2 on primaries. Following Lou Mascarelli, Sergio Calderon is exiting pits on primaries. Alan Jacobs is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Brian Story is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. John Wathen is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Tom Traskell is exiting pits on primaries. David Zahn is exiting pits on primaries. Chuck Carter is exiting pits on primaries. John Wathen is exiting pits on primaries. Joel Ekman is exiting pits on primaries. Alan Jacobs is exiting pits on primaries. Brian Story is exiting pits on primaries. Joel Ekman is P19 on primaries. Battling John Wathen. Chris Moses is P5 on primaries, chasing Kevin Lekmansky. Santiago Ocampo is P8 on primaries, chasing Philippe Gill. Chris Moses is P5 on primaries, chasing Kevin Lekmansky. Santiago Ocampo is P8 on primaries, chasing Philippe Gill. Chris Moses is P5 on primaries, chasing Kevin Lekmansky. Andrew Werner is P13 on primaries, chasing Brad Mears. Chris Moses is P5 on primaries, chasing Kevin Lekmansky. Santiago Ocampo is P8 on primaries, following Philippe Gill. Chris Moses is P5 on primaries, following Kevin Lekmansky. Santiago Ocampo is P8 on primaries, chasing Philippe Gill. Philippe Gill is P7 with 40 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling Santiago Ocampo. Chris Moses is P5 on primaries, chasing Kevin Lekmansky. Andrew Werner is P12 on primaries, chasing Brad Mears. John Ludden is P2 on primaries, following Lou Mascarelli. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, battling John Ludden. John Ludden is P2 on primaries, following Lou Mascarelli. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, battling John Ludden. John Ludden is P2 on primaries, battling Lou Mascarelli. Lou Mascarelli is P1 on primaries, battling John Ludden. John Ludden is P2 on primaries, chasing Lou Mascarelli. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, following John Ludden. Moses is P5 on primaries, chasing Kevin Lekmansky. Jonathan Cuppett is P3 on primaries, chasing Lou Mascarelli. John Wathen is P17 on primaries, battling Chuck Carter. Chris Moses is P5 on primaries, chasing Kevin Lekmansky. Joel Ekman is P18 on primaries, battling Chuck Carter. Kevin Lekmansky is P4 with 10 kilograms ballast on primaries, fending off Chris Moses. Mark DeGraw is P8 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, following Philippe Gill. Chuck Carter is P17 on primaries, battling Joel Ekman. Andrew Werner is P11 on primaries, chasing Brad Mears. Kevin Lekmansky is P4 with 10 kilograms ballast on primaries, fending off Chris Moses. Kevin Miller is P9 on primaries, following Mark DeGraw. Connor Francis is P16 with 80 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Joel Ekman. Chris Moses is P5 on primaries, following Kevin Lekmansky. Philippe Gill is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Greg Myers is P11 on primaries, chasing Andrew Werner. Connor Francis is P16 with 80 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling John Wathen. Philippe Gill is exiting pits on primaries. Mark DeGraw is P8 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Kevin Miller. Connor Francis is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Connor Francis is P18 with 80 kilograms ballast on primaries, following Chuck Carter. Connor Francis is exiting pits on primaries. Chris Moses is P5 on primaries, chasing Kevin Lekmansky. David Rowley is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Andrew Werner is P10 on primaries, battling Brad Mears. David Rowley is exiting pits on primaries. Greg Myers is P10 on primaries, chasing Brad Mears. Aaron Parsons is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. John Houston is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Brad Mears is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Chris Moses is P5 on primaries, chasing Kevin Lekmansky. John Houston is exiting pits on primaries. Aaron Parsons is exiting pits on primaries. Brad Mears is exiting pits on primaries. Kevin Lekmansky is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Kevin Miller is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Mark DeGraw is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Andrew Werner is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Kevin Lekmansky is exiting pits on primaries. Jake Feemster is P5 on primaries, following Chris Moses. Esteban Rodas is pitting after 9 laps on primaries. Kevin Miller is exiting pits on primaries. Andrew Werner is exiting pits on primaries. John Ludden is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Mark DeGraw is exiting pits on primaries. Tom Traskell is P10 on primaries. Ahead of Kevin Miller, Lou Mascarelli is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Jonathan Cuppett is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Chris Moses is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Jake Feemster is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. David Zahn is P23 on primaries, battling David Rowley. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, fending off John Ludden. Lou Mascarelli is exiting pits on primaries. Jonathan Cuppett is exiting pits on primaries. David Zahn is P22 on primaries. Ahead of David Rowley, Greg Myers is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Sergio Calderon is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Jake Feemster is exiting pits on primaries. Chris Moses is exiting pits on primaries. John Ludden is exiting pits on primaries. Tom Traskell is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Greg Myers is exiting pits on primaries. Sergio Calderon is exiting pits on primaries. Jake Feemster is P4 on primaries, following Kevin Lekmansky. David Zahn is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Joel Ekman is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Tom Traskell is exiting pits on primaries. John Wathen is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Chuck Carter is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Brian Story is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Andrew Werner is P10 on primaries, chasing Sergio Calderon. David Zahn is exiting pits on primaries. John Wathen is exiting pits on primaries. Chuck Carter is exiting pits on primaries. Joel Ekman is exiting pits on primaries. Brian Story is exiting pits on primaries. Jake Feemster is P4 on primaries, following Kevin Lekmansky. Andrew Werner is P10 on primaries, chasing Sergio Calderon. Jake Feemster is P3 on primaries, battling Kevin Lekmansky. Mark DeGraw is P12 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Brad Mears. Jake Feemster is P4 on primaries, following Kevin Lekmansky. Mark DeGraw is P12 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, following Brad Mears. Jake Feemster is P4 on primaries, chasing Kevin Lekmansky. Kevin Miller is P8 on primaries, chasing Philippe Gill. Jake Feemster is P4 on primaries, following Kevin Lekmansky. Kevin Miller is P8 on primaries, chasing Philippe Gill. Jake Feemster is P4 on primaries, chasing Kevin Lekmansky. Mark DeGraw is P12 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Brad Mears. Chuck Carter is P16 on primaries, following John Wathen. Jake Feemster is P4 on primaries, chasing Kevin Lekmansky. Chuck Carter is P15 on primaries, ahead of John Wathen. Mark DeGraw is P12 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, battling Brad Mears. David Zahn is pitting after 14 laps on primaries. Jake Feemster is P5 on primaries, trailing Kevin Lekmansky. Philippe Gill is pitting after 19 laps on primaries. John Wathen is pitting after 14 laps on primaries. Andrew Werner is P8 on primaries, chasing Kevin Miller. Mark DeGraw is P10 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Brad Mears. John Ludden is P5 on primaries, chasing Jake Feemster. Andrew Werner is P8 on primaries, chasing Kevin Miller. John Ludden is P5 on primaries, chasing Jake Feemster. Sergio Calderon is P6 on primaries, chasing John Ludden. Mark DeGraw is P10 with 20 kilograms ballast on primaries, fending off Tom Traskell. John Ludden is P5 on primaries, chasing Jake Feemster. Connor Francis is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Jake Feemster is P5 on primaries, fending off Sergio Calderon. Connor Francis is exiting pits on primaries. Sergio Calderon is P5 on primaries, fending off Jake Feemster. David Rowley is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. David Rowley is exiting pits on primaries. John Houston is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Aaron Parsons is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. John Houston is exiting pits on primaries. Aaron Parsons is exiting pits on primaries. Kevin Miller is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Brad Mears is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Tom Traskell is P9 on primaries, ahead of Mark DeGraw. Kevin Miller is exiting pits on primaries. Brad Mears is exiting pits on primaries. Sergio Calderon is P5 on primaries, ahead of Jake Feemster. Andrew Werner is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Mark DeGraw is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Greg Myers is pitting after 21 laps on primaries. Lou Mascarelli is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Andrew Werner is exiting pits on primaries. Jonathan Cuppett is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Greg Myers is exiting pits on primaries. Chris Moses is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Mark DeGraw is exiting pits on primaries. Lou Mascarelli is exiting pits on primaries. Jonathan Cuppett is exiting pits on primaries. John Ludden is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Sergio Calderon is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Jake Feemster is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Tom Traskell is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Tom Traskell is P7 on primaries, trailing Jake Feemster. Jake Feemster is exiting pits on primaries. Sergio Calderon is exiting pits on primaries. Kevin Lekmansky is pitting after 16 laps on primaries. Tom Traskell is exiting pits on primaries. Chris Moses is exiting pits on primaries. John Ludden is exiting pits on primaries. Chuck Carter is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Brian Story is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Greg Myers is P9 on primaries, fending off Chris Moses. Joel Ekman is pitting after 22 laps on primaries. Sergio Calderon is P5 on primaries, fending off Andrew Werner. Chuck Carter is exiting pits on primaries. Joel Ekman is exiting pits on primaries. Brian Story is exiting pits on primaries. Andrew Werner is P6 on primaries, chasing Sergio Calderon. Chris Moses is P10 on primaries, chasing Greg Myers. Brad Mears is P8 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries, chasing Tom Traskell. Chris Moses is P9 on primaries, battling Greg Myers. Greg Myers is P10 on primaries, chasing Chris Moses. Brad Mears is P8 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries, following Tom Traskell. Sergio Calderon is P5 on primaries, chasing Kevin Miller. Kevin Miller is P5 on primaries, chasing Sergio Calderon. Andrew Werner is P6 on primaries, chasing Kevin Miller. Jonathan Cuppett is P2 on primaries, chasing Lou Mascarelli. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries. Battling Jonathan Cuppet. Jonathan Cuppet is P2 on primaries. Battling Lou Mascarelli. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries. Battling Jonathan Cuppet. Jonathan Cuppet is P1 on primaries. Battling Lou Mascarelli. Brad Mears is P9 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries. Battling Greg Myers. Greg Myers is P8 on primaries. Battling Brad Mears. Brad Mears is P9 with 30 kilograms ballast on primaries. Chasing Greg Myers. Lou Mascarelli is P2 on primaries, following Jonathan Cuppet. Jonathan Cuppet is P1 on primaries, ahead of Lou Mascarelli. Andrew Werner is P6 on primaries, chasing Kevin Miller. Jonathan Cuppet is P1 on primaries, ahead of Lou Mascarelli. The leader has just finished the race. Jonathan Cuppet is P2. Lou Mascarelli is P3. Lou Mascarelli is P3. John Ludden is P10. Chuck Carter is P14. Joel Ekman is P15. Brian Story is P16. Jake Feemster is P4. David Rowley is P20. Andrew Werner is P7. Jake Feemster is P4. Sergio Calderon is P5. Sergio Calderon is P5. Kevin Miller is P6. Andrew Werner is P7. Andrew Werner is P7. Tom Traskell is P8. Tom Traskell is P8. Greg Myers is P9. Greg Myers is P9. John Ludden is P10. Connor Francis is P17. John Ludden is P10. Brad Mears is P11. Chris Moses is P12. John Houston is P18. Chris Moses is P12. Aaron Parsons is P19. Mark DeGraw is P13. Mark DeGraw is P13.